Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. I want to begin by saying that we are absolutely committed to reopening schools for all students and staff on August the 17th. That being said, we know that conditions can change quickly, and we know our plans will have to be adjusted as our health partners and the Texas Education Agency advise to ensure the strength of our plans. Our Lubbock ISD team has been navigating this changing landscape and will continue to focus on every child every day. Lubbock ISD families will have two options as we begin school in the fall. The first option is the more traditional face-to-face in-school instruction with safety measures in place. These include, but are not limited to, strict cleaning protocols, hand washing, sanitizing stations by each classroom and throughout the buildings. Our germ blast service has been expanded for additional deep cleaning as a supplement to our regular cleaning. Adults will wear masks except when giving direct instruction, and students will wear masks as appropriate. We will practice social distancing, and we will develop schedules that limit large groups. We are modifying transportation to provide social distancing on our buses. Lubbock ISD is now officially a one-to-one district with devices for every student. Pre-K and kindergarten students will be issued iPads, and 1st through 12th grade students will have Chromebooks. These will be used as instructional tools in the classroom, but they will also allow us to quickly shift to remote instruction if the need arises for a temporary closure. The second option for families in the fall will be virtual school for pre-K through 12th grade. Students will still be attached to their home campus, but they will participate in learning from home. Instruction will be provided online by a Lubbock ISD teacher following our Lubbock ISD curriculum standards. Regular monitoring and communication of student progress will take place daily, and grading will follow the Lubbock ISD grading guidelines. Wraparound services such as food service, counseling, and health services may still be provided in a virtual school. Families who choose this option may return to face-to-face instruction at the end of each 9-week period, if desired. We will begin surveying parents next week regarding their choice of face-to-face or virtual school. Families will have an opportunity to provide feedback to us on this survey. Please be assured that Lubbock ISD will continue to love your kids, our students will continue to learn, and we will do this in a safe manner, whether it's in school or virtually. Thank you for being here today, and I'll be happy to answer any questions. And we also have Misty Reber, our Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum Instruction, and Paulette Rosnick, our Coordinator of Health Services here, and they can also answer questions.
John Sokoloff with Fox 34. You mentioned modifying like bus transportation. Can you kind of give like a little more specific outlook at what that may look like?
Yes, so we will have fewer students on the bus than we normally do, and the students will be spaced apart, so there will just be one student on each row.
And you mentioned wearing masks when appropriate for students. Is there like what specific times are you going to require them or not?
Well, we're waiting on additional guidance for that, but we know that there are times, especially for our very young children, where it may not be appropriate, and also in some cases where students have underlying health conditions, and a mask could be dangerous in some situations. So we'll look at that as we get additional guidance and make those decisions.
When does the family have to make their decision on whether they would send their child to school or take part in remote learning? And you mentioned they can kind of modify that decision every 9 weeks, or can that be day to day?
Yes, so we'll begin surveying next week. That being said, we'll need to know their final choice no later than August the 3rd, because we have to have time to plan as far as staffing goes. If a family decides to begin in virtual school, they may choose to return to face-to-face at the end of each 9-week grading period if they decide to do that.
Can you talk a bit about teachers? Will some be assigned to in-person classrooms and others be assigned to virtual classrooms?
Yes, we will have an application process for our teachers who want to teach in the virtual school, and we will choose teachers for that model that are very strong at teaching virtually.
And I would imagine that students that decide to take online classes will not be able to do sports or extracurricular, that type of thing.
We are still waiting on additional guidance on whether or not students who are in virtual school will still have the opportunity to participate in UIL type activities. So we need more guidance before we make that decision.
Can you please talk a bit about the end of the school year last year, how you feel like that went, ways the school district feels like it can improve in terms of online classes?
I am so incredibly proud of our Lubbock ISD family because they shifted overnight from face-to-face to virtual. Literally, we had a week to stand up virtual learning, and our teachers did a fantastic job. That being said, this summer we've had time to really build up a very strong, robust virtual learning opportunity for students. So it will be more interaction with the teacher. It will be daily progress monitoring and feedback from teachers. Misty, do you want to add anything to that?
There will also be minute requirements as part of the virtual school for each day, and then the grading system will match our traditional grading system inside the virtual school. So all of those pieces will look different in the fall.
Misty, I have a question for you. And there was a message because my constituents asked me just last night. Our 3-year-old program, how will that look?
Our 3-year-old program, we will have face-to-face, and then we're working on some opportunities right now for some virtual options.
And before they come into school, they will also get their temperature will be checked. Is that correct or not?
So we are waiting on additional guidance on that.
And is that today at 4 o'clock? There's
We don't know.
today, is that correct?
We have the superintendent's commissioners call every Tuesday and Thursday at 3 o'clock, and we don't know what they're going to cover until we get on their call. So we're not sure if that guidance will come.
So we don't know what's going to happen to the 3-year-olds. We don't know if we're going to check their temp or anything like that. Is that what we're saying?
We're waiting on guidance for that,
Okay.
as far as temperature checks.
That's kind of scary because, we don't know where our kids have been throughout the week, and if they don't get their temp checked, that's going to put everybody else at risk. The teachers as well. When the teachers come home to their families, that's a big risk factor for us. Something to think about.
Questions?
Would you say that your guys' obviously quick transition from in-person to virtual learning last year will kind of help in the scenario that there's a situation where you guys need to close down again?
Yes, absolutely. Our teachers are now all using either Seesaw, Google Classroom, different learning platforms, and they're all now experts at that because they used it when we went to virtual last year. So if we do need to temporarily close either a classroom or a few classrooms, or if we need to close a school, we can do that quickly and then come back very quickly as well. That's a great question. So, Misty, I'm going to let you talk about that because she's really been developing those plans for that.
Absolutely. So the way attendance will work, when we're talking about virtual, we do have minute requirements for those students. Minute requirements mean either synchronous, face-to-face work with your teacher, or asynchronous, where you work on something for a period of time. So for our younger students, there's a 180-minute requirement, and for our older students, there's a 240-minute requirement. And so each day, attendance will be based not only on your presence, as we're talking about in the virtual world, maybe in the computer, but then also upon the work that you submit. And you'll have until the end of the day to submit that work and then receive credit for your attendance in that class.
Misty, how are you going to make sure that some students that are staying at home aren't going to get left behind?
So we're working right now on some progress monitoring measures to make sure that we can still do some assessment pieces. We've also been experimenting with what it's like to do small group instruction. So if you need support, just like we do tutoring in school, face-to-face, what does it look like to do tutoring or small group instruction when you do it online? We're trying to take the same concepts that we use in school for best practice to support kids and make sure that we can translate those to an online environment. Yes, ma'am.
So we are waiting for additional guidance on testing requirements. We are going to have testing available for our staffs, and then we do have testing available for students as we've needed to. But as far as whether or not that will be required, we are still waiting on guidance on that.
Is there any opportunity for teachers to also choose to work from home in any instance? Or will those teachers be the ones doing the remote learning?
So we are working on plans for that. Yes. Yes, that's a great question. So we are looking at ways to increase our lunch periods so that we can spread out more evenly and have fewer students in the cafeteria at any one given time.
And in the classroom, did you guys say there was some guidelines like how far apart they'd be sitting or wearing a mask, anything like that?
So the mask, we're waiting on some additional guidance, but we will wear them as appropriate, and then adults will wear them except when they're giving direct instruction. In the classroom, we will have the desk spread apart as far as we can.
It sounds like you're waiting on a lot of guidance for several things. How much of that will you have to implement from the TEA, or is it up to each school district that they can take parts of that, implement it as they see fit, and then also have their own health and safety policies that are appropriate for that district?
So one of the things that we're really excited about is starting July 13th, we will have face-to-face instruction in small groups for summer school. And so we've taken our TEA guidance for summer school, and that will be a great chance for us to practice our protocols and make adjustments and tweaks before we start on August 17th with all of our students. And so the TEA guidance, there are some things that they say that you shall do and some things that they say that you should do, and we want to implement as much of that as we possibly can to keep our students and our staff safe.
You mentioned earlier that you guys have expanded on your cleaning options with the daily cleaning and then germ-glass. Will it be different from the previous year? Is it expanded on? Talk to me a little bit about that.
So it will be more thorough than what we've done in previous years. We had a child care center actually for healthcare workers here at Miller and had the chance to actually practice some cleaning protocols. But we will use cleaning. Paulette, do you want to address some of the cleaning things that we've talked about?
Every classroom will have a spray bottle of disinfectant, and so the teachers have been informed how to make sure that they clean their classrooms, any items that have been touched. They'll be doing that. Germ Blast will come in and clean appropriately. Our Sodexo custodians have been taught more about cleaning and the right products to do that. There'll be hand stations outside of the rooms. There'll be multiple opportunities for everybody to get in to clean. In the older classes, age group, we'll try to have them help us with cleaning before and after they touch things.
Yes. So that's a great question about internet access for families that do not have that. So we had a chance to practice that in the spring, and one of the things we did was provide hotspots for families that did not have internet access. And even more importantly, we set up park and learns throughout the city, and so those park and learns are still being used by our students right now. We have over 1,000 kids that are using those during the summer. And so that tells us that that has been an effective tool. And we're also continuing to research ways we can partner to expand access. The state is working on that, as well as the national education folks are working on ways to expand broadband.
Now,
Yes, the hotspots.
I have another question. For parents, sometimes with my mom, she has trouble trying to teach in a local district. So will there be instruction for parents who are trying to teach at home?
So I do want to make it clear that with virtual school, our teachers are going to be the primary instructors. We appreciate our parents because they worked so hard in the spring to make sure their kids were learning. Our parents, we still would love for them to support their child's learning, but our teachers are going to be the ones providing instruction. They'll be making videos that they'll share, providing instructions that they'll use to help guide students, but we know that our parents are not all trained to be educators, and so it will be our teachers that we hire to teach in this environment, teachers that we know are very strong at teaching virtually, who will actually be the instructors for the courses.
Quick question. Will they be changing classes? Like, are you guys prepared for the mass rush in, like, hallways of a sense? Will that be happening this year?
So we are looking at different models for that. We're working with our principals right now. In fact, Misty met with a group of principals till 7:30 last night talking about scheduling. So we will have some cases where the teachers actually move instead of the students to reduce that movement in the hallways with groups of kids. And then we will look at how we can stagger bell schedules so fewer students are in the hallways at any one given time.
And the same question for arrivals and departures, so it's not the mass exodus.
We're working on plans for that, whether or not we'll stagger arrival and dismissal times.
Anything else about the value of in-person teaching that was maybe lost in the last 2 or 3 months?
Well, of course, we know face-to-face instruction with teachers interacting with students through rich content in a classroom is the model that we know works. It's our tried and true model. That being said, virtual, we are working on ways to make that just as engaging.
And on average, what are the in-person class sizes going to look like?
So we really don't know at this point. We have class size limitations in pre-K through 4th grade right now. In Lubbock ISD, we try to keep classes in the grades above that at 25 or less. But we don't right now know how many students will be virtual, how many will be in classrooms. So we don't anticipate reducing class sizes just because that's really not a feasible thing for us to do. But within those classrooms, we will spread kids out and then also mitigate how many kids are in the hallways at any one given time.
Is there like a main, like biggest obstacle that y'all are kind of like facing with everything coming back, or is there like nothing specific?
I think probably the biggest obstacle is just handling things as they change so quickly and then making those adjustments, but we're getting pretty good at that. So,
Have you guys been talking to other regional school districts just supporting plans as well?
we've been talking a lot with districts our size throughout the state, because when you have 27,000 students, we have some different challenges in Lubbock ISD than smaller school districts. And so we have been having lots of conversations with districts that are closer to our size. And that being said, we do communicate regularly with the Region 17 superintendents as well.
For school meals, will that be kind of the same as protocol as we saw at the end of last year?
So we are very excited because we just found out this week that we will be able to continue to provide meals in school for our students who are here face-to-face, and we will be able to provide some grab-and-go food meals for our students who are having virtual school. So food will still be available to all of our students, whether they're face-to-face or virtually. And we've served almost 1 million meals since we started this in March. Yes? Will there be recess? Things we are seeing right now are highly encouraging us to get kids outside to play and to even have some learning opportunities outside. If we go outside, we'll have scheduling so that we don't have large groups of kids outside at any one given time. But yes, we want to get kids outside.
I'm not sure if this should be for you or Paulette, but can you kind of take me through the protocol? Like, what if a student, gets sick?
I will let Paulette address that.
We are still waiting for the guidelines from the Texas Education Agency, but if a student is to get sick, they will be escorted to the nurse's clinic, and at that time we'll put a mask on appropriately, and then they'll be isolated. And we'll do our routine assessment, and we will also get guidelines from the City of Lubbock Health Department.
And you're still waiting for those guidelines also to kind of address the students that were exposed to the sick student in this case?
I'm not understanding.
What happened for the other students that were in close contact with the student that got sick for
Right.
an extended period of time?
We'll be doing contact tracing, and we'll work with the TEA and the health department, which we're already currently working with our health department on what we're to do with any possible exposures.
Yes.
I may have missed it, but are the students going to be required to wear masks?
So the students will wear masks when appropriate. We have some age groups that masks are not going to be appropriate all day long. We have some students who have some underlying health issues that a mask can actually be dangerous for them. So as appropriate, we will have students wearing masks.
And how are we going to get that information out to the family members to let them know little Johnny needs to wear his mask?
So would we send out our survey next week? We will provide some expectations, and we hope that will help parents make a decision on whether or not they want face-to-face or virtual, but we will talk about masks and that. That being said, we will get additional guidance too, and so we may have to adjust whatever we say at any time. Yes?
This survey, will it be, is it a virtual survey? Is it something that's emailed to them? Can they choose their mind? They're like, oh no, I picked the wrong option. I know you mentioned that every 9 weeks that can change, but they immediately realize they made a mistake.
Yes, so the survey will go out through our email system, and then if we haven't heard back from families, we will actually get on the phone and call them. They can change their mind, but they have to make a decision by August the 3rd, which is 2 weeks before the first day of school. Yes?
How are your students that choose the virtual option going to still benefit from your arts program?
That's a great question. So Andrew Babcock, our fine arts director, is working right now with his teachers to develop virtual learning experiences both in our performing arts as well as our visual arts, our dance programs, all of those things. So we're working on virtual options for those.
Are you also kind of waiting on, are there any like programs or like for gym, for example, any of those that are going to be cut by this? Like, or just not going to go on because of health reasons, or are you still waiting?
Well, of course, we're still waiting on guidance, but at this point, we're planning for all of our offerings to be offered. Yes? Do you want to address our special needs students, Misty?
So when we talk about face-to-face school, we were working on protocols for honestly every different need and every different scenario. And then when we're talking about virtual school, we're doing the same. So we'll still be serving all of our students in Lubbock ISD and still be serving all of their needs. It's just going to look a little bit differently. We talk about we're serving students either face-to-face or through a computer screen, but we're still going to make that happen. For some of our students, we are having to look at some extra protective gear of things that our teachers wear when we do have to have closer contact with students who need that. And so we're working on how to make that appropriate and fit for each one of those areas.
Any other questions?
Is that good, everybody? We appreciate you being here today.
Yes, thank
Very
you.
much.
Thank you all.